Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
I think it's one of his toughest fights.
It's definitely his toughest fight. Jake, I feel like, has gotten stiffed a few times this year with who his opponents were gonna be.
Have you ever wondered what really went down when two of boxing's most unlikely gladiators stepped into the ring? Can a YouTuber-turned-contender really hold his own against the blood and thunder legacy of Chavez?
This is what I don't understand about people hating on him. He's not fighting tomato cans. Every single person that he fought had a chance to beat him, and by the way, people believed that they were probably going to beat him.
No one's dumb enough to go where we're going. That's kind of our specialty. Hang on, let's go. Rated PG-13 tonight, a 5-fight main card kicks off with what could be the bout of the night. Tevin Floyd Scoffield versus Kevin Farmer. But for the die-hard fight junkies, all eyes are on the main event. Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a showdown that on paper feels like David versus Goliath. Except David's been producing vlogs and Goliath once filled stadiums. The bell rings, the crowd roars, and suddenly the spectacle begins.
Every time.
This guy is a real boxer, so it'll be another opportunity to show that Jake Paul is a real boxer.
In the opening frame, Paul comes out like a man possessed. He throws rapid jabs, testing Chavez's chin and patience. Chavez, for his part, bobs and weaves with the practiced grace of a ring veteran. But there's something off, an X factor missing from his legendary lineage. Jake lands a crisp right hand, and the arena trembles. Chavez's corner shifts uneasily. The old guard looks on in silent shock. By the time the round ends, Paul has established a rhythm and Chavez is playing catch-up.
Have your opinions on him changed?
You know, he's a strong, good boxer. The first 3-4 rounds. After that...
Round 2 builds on that momentum. Jake dances, feints a jab, then explodes with a left hook that snaps Chavez's head back. The Mexican faithful gasp. Chavez attempts a counter, one slow, telegraphed right hand, but it falls short. Paul's corner rings with encouragement. Keep the pressure on. No mercy. You can almost see Chavez recalibrating, searching for his old spark. But Paul's youth and reach prove troublesome.
I feel tired, him. So I don't think he's ready for the champions, but he's a good fighter. So.
The third round begins with Chavez trying to clip Paul's legs, a tactic straight from his father's manual. He lands a body shot that makes Jake wince, and for a moment, you think the pendulum might swing. But Paul responds with 2 savage uppercuts, forcing Chavez to cover up. The crowd rises to its feet as Jake stalks him across the canvas, confidence blossoming in his eyes. By round's end, Paul's striking accuracy reads like a surgeon's tally.
Final round, Chavez is smelling blood. He's trying to go for it. He's waited the whole fight to do this, the whole 10 rounds.
Mid-fight, the commentators rave. Where did this kid learn footwork like that? He's studying film daily, soaking in every boxing nuance. Chavez looks winded, but he digs deep. In round 4, he finally lands a crisp right that snaps Paul's guard aside, an echo of the elder Chavez's thunderous power. It's a momentary resurgence, but Paul smiles through the follow-up, inches forward, and unleashes a blistering 3-punch combo that sends Chavez stumbling.
But Jake Paul is still piecing them up. I don't think he's swinging, he misses, he's hitting.
Halfway through, fatigue settles in. Paul's punches don't slow, but Chavez's responses become sluggish. In round 5, Paul uncorks a looping overhand right that grazes Chavez's temple. Blood trickles down Chavez's brow, and the crowd murmurs. Chavez tries to rally, but his legs feel heavy. Paul circles, jabs to set up a cross, and Chavez's high guard can't hold back the onslaught. By the bell, Chavez's corner knows they're in trouble.
He's got a stiff jab. Holding on. That's probably a whiplash claim. 30 seconds to go. That is probably a whiplash.
Rounds 6 and 7 are a transition. Jake shifts into cruise control, peppering Chavez with jabs, mixing in hooks. Chavez lands a sneaky left hook in 6, but Paul's head movement has improved. He shrugs it off and counters instantly. In 7, Paul tags Chavez with a straight right that leaves him wobbling. The ref hovers, ready to step in, but Chavez beats the count just barely.
Claim right there. Oh, he hit him in the back.
Chavez won a lot of his fans back tonight with these last 2 rounds.
In round 8, Paul's confidence becomes almost playful. He feints an uppercut and Chavez bites, leaving an opening that Paul exploits with a stinging body shot. Chavez doubles over. The arena gasps in unison. Paul follows up on the inside, unloading a volley that pins Chavez against the ropes. With 5 seconds left, a short left hook buzzes Chavez's ear, an exclamation point on the round.
Yeah, I think it's over. Last 12 seconds. Jake Paul's still throwing. He's on the back foot, but...
As we roll into round 9, Chavez's corner whispers desperate advice. Use the left hand, work the body. But Chavez's legs have turned to lead. Paul senses the moment, stalking his foe, buzzing him with stinging jabs. Chavez swings wildly, like a desperate man. His punches lack conviction. Paul ducks under a lazy hook and plants a flushing right uppercut that snaps Chavez's head back. The rebuilding legend's eyes glaze. He shrugs it off and beats the bell. Barely.
Jake will fight back.
I think it's...
Yeah. Chavez Jr. right in the...
Round 10 is cakewalk territory for Paul. He toys with Chavez. Jab, jab, step away, jab again. Chavez throws a half-hearted cross, more for pride than effect. Paul's precision is surgical. Every punch finds flesh. Mid-round, Paul lands a left hook that drops Chavez to one knee. The ref initiates a count, and Chavez struggles up at 8, bloodied but defiant. Paul backs off just enough, and the bell saves Chavez from a knockout.
It's all over.
He gave us a show at least for 6 minutes.
We've got Jake Paul winning at least 8 rounds.
Into round 11, we see the final embers of Chavez's fire. He tries to clinch, he tries to slow the pace. Paul shakes him off and lands a cracking uppercut that rattles Chavez's jaw. The crowd roars. Paul's corner urges, finish him. But Paul respects the history. He doesn't want a cheap KO. Instead, he toys with Chavez. Light combinations, probing jabs, displaying mastery. By the bell, it's evident Paul has done everything a boxer can do against a former champion's son. Round 12 is formalities, yet even these feel important. Paul jabs, Chavez counters weakly. Paul lands a final cross that echoes in the arena. The bell rings, signaling the end of a fight that will be dissected for months. Both warriors embrace in the center, a show of mutual respect. Paul raises Chavez's hand, then his own, basking in the ovation.
This is going to be the toughest fight of his career, the most embarrassing fight of his career. He's going to be exposed.
Julio, que te va a romper tu madre, güey. Más.
When the judges' scorecards are read, it's unanimous. Jake Paul by wide margins. The former YouTuber has silenced skeptics, at least for one night. Chavez Jr. thanks the crowd, acknowledging his nadir and promising redemption. Paul thanks his fans, winks at the cameras, and reminds everyone he's only getting started. In the haze of bright lights and roaring fans, the aftermath of Jake Paul's triumph felt almost surreal. The ring crew moved with quiet efficiency, stripping away gloves and cleaning the canvas as if washing away the memory of violence. Paul lingered at center stage, arms raised in victory, sweat and blood marking his skin like trophies. Chavez Jr. sat on a stool in his corner, head bowed, ice packs pressed to his swollen brow. The contrast between their post-fight demeanors spoke volumes, one buoyed by youthful momentum, the other reflecting on a legacy under siege.
Nah, I don't think so.
How do you think this fight plays out?
I break him down,
As the crowd began to filter out, whispers and debates buzzed through the arena's corridors. Was this truly a passing of the torch from an old boxing dynasty to a social media sensation? Pundits in the media lounge paced back and forth, microphones in hand, desperately hunting for sound bites. Some praised Paul's footwork, calling it sharp as a surgeon's blade, while others lamented Chavez's lost spark. But beneath the analysis lay a deeper question. Has boxing's future been quietly rewritten? Backstage, trainers on both sides dissected every moment. Paul's coach replayed clips of the winning overhand right, pausing at the split second Chavez's guard dropped. They spoke of timing, distance, and the importance of heart in the ring. On the other side, Chavez's camp huddled around their fighter, plotting a path back to relevance. There was talk of new sparring partners, changes to diet, even a shift in mindset to regain the fearsome edge that once defined his father's prime.
Always the young man, the strongest guy in the ring. So for the first time, I want to put him back, make him work, extra work.
In the days that followed, social media exploded. Highlights of Paul's best combinations went viral. Reaction videos popped up on every platform from YouTube Shorts to TikTok loops. Hashtags like Man just Paul conquered Chavez and Man new boxing era trended regionally and globally. Fans debated in comment threads, some cheering the upset, others defending Chavez's honor. It became clear that this fight had transcended sport. It had become cultural spectacle, a collision of two worlds. Despite the outpouring of praise, skeptics remained vocal. Traditionalists grumbled about crossover fighters invading the ring, calling it a gimmick at best. They pointed to Paul's YouTube origins, questioning whether viral fame could ever substitute for years in the gym. Yet, at the same time, they couldn't ignore the numbers: sold-out arenas, record pay-per-view buys, and a new generation discovering boxing through a teenage influencer. Perhaps, they conceded, there was room for both worlds after all. Journalists lined up for post-fight interviews, microphones extended toward Paul like eager hands seeking tokens. He spoke with polished confidence, praising Chavez's toughness and insisting this victory was only the beginning. When asked about his next opponent, Paul teased a mystery challenger, refusing to name names but promising bigger paydays. Meanwhile, Chavez Jr.'s comments were sober, tinged with regret. He admitted to underestimating his foe and vowed to return stronger, not just for my name, but for my own pride. Analysts began to pore over the data, punch stats, round-by-round breakdowns, even biometric readings from sensors in their gloves. Paul landed a higher percentage of his jabs and straighter punches, data showed, while Chavez threw more power shots but connected less often. Experts noted Paul's stamina. He ran electric throughout 12 rounds. Chavez, by contrast, faded in the middle frames. In ivory towers of sports science, this match became a case study in modern training methods versus old-school grit.
And then Jake Paul is going head-to-head with you. I guess, what are your thoughts on this Saturday coming up against?
Oh, really? I didn't even fucking know that.
It's like Chavez Jr.
Who's he fighting?
Chavez Jr.
Okay.
Promoters smelled opportunity. Rumors circulated about a rematch clause being activated. Venues in Las Vegas and Dubai whispered as possible hosts. Sponsors clamored to associate with Paul's meteoric rise. Energy drinks, fashion lines, tech startups all vying to plaster their logos on his trunks. Chavez, battling to salvage his standing, eyed comeback fights against mid-tier contenders to rebuild confidence. The business of boxing churned on, fueled by the embers of this unexpected clash. Fan clubs on both sides organized watch parties worldwide. In Los Angeles, a gym rented out screens for fans decked in Paul merchandise. In Mexico City, downtown bars overflowed with Chavez supporters waving flags and chanting his last name. These gatherings, though separated by oceans, shared a common passion: belief in their champion. Yet in both places, the conversation returned again and again to that one moment: Jake Paul's triumphant right hand that seemed to change history.
Well, what are your thoughts on going head-to-head with your old pal?
Yeah. I didn't even know he was fighting, so that's how concerned I am about it. Yeah, I didn't even know.
Podcasts dedicated hours to postmortems, hosts trading barbs over rounds 6 through 8, where the fight truly shifted. Some contended that Chavez's body shot in round 3 should have signaled a different outcome. Others argued that Paul's mental edge from the first bell sealed Chavez's fate. Guests ranged from former pros whispering insider secrets to comedians riffing on Jake's YouTube past. The debate became part of the spectacle, drawing in audiences who might never watch a live bout. Meanwhile, the fighters retreated to their camps for different reasons. Paul dove into promotion work, photo shoots, press tours, and strategy talks for his next venture, perhaps a crossover with MMA or a co-promoted card. He laughed easily at media junkets, a reminder that for him, boxing was both sport and show. Chavez retreated to solitude, spending days in a remote training lodge, shadowboxing his frustrations and mapping out renewal. His manager spoke of patience, of letting raw power simmer until it roared back.
Huh? Holly Holmes in the co-man.
Oh, no shit. Who's she fighting?
Okay. Jake and Chavez is a proper fight, though, isn't it?
The boxing landscape buzzed with potential ripple effects. Other influencers saw payoff in Paul's success, kicking themselves for not jumping into the ring sooner. Veteran fighters faced a choice: dismiss these newcomers or adapt and learn from their viral marketing genius. Trainers adjusted their playbooks, blending digital engagement with traditional drills. Suddenly, the sport seemed more dynamic, less bound by the old hierarchy of promoters and gyms. Cultural commentators weighed in, considering the broader implications. Was this clash symbolic of generational shifts? Ping of smartphones against the roar of the crowd? Did it reflect a world where fame could be minted online as easily as in the ring? Many opined that boxing, long a refuge for underdogs, had found a new spirit in Paul's daring pivot from prank videos to power punches. And in Chavez's struggle to adapt, they saw echoes of tradition grappling with innovation. At local boxing gyms, the ripple reached fresh recruits. Teenagers who had never laced gloves now signed up for weekend classes, inspired by Paul's unexpected ascent. Coaches reported surges in attendance, a phenomenon they attributed directly to the media frenzy. Some old-timers grumbled, lamenting that newcomers sought clout over craft. But gym owners smiled. They knew every new fighter brought renewed life to the sport. In archival quarters, boxing historians cataloged the event as one of the great upsets. They compared it to when Buster Douglas dethroned Tyson or when amateurs stunned champions. Footage was archived for future generations, a lesson in reading both ring and rumor mill. As years passed, this fight would serve as a pivot point, a story of a star born on screen who conquered in the squared circle. Philanthropic angles emerged too. Paul pledged a share of his purse to youth boxing programs, framing his win as a chance to give back. Chavez Jr. announced he would partner with charities in his father's name to support young athletes in underprivileged communities. Both moves, while partly strategic, hinted at a deeper awareness. Boxing's power to change lives extends beyond knockouts. Skeptics, meanwhile, cautioned against drawing grand conclusions from a single bout. They reminded fans that boxing's history is littered with one-off heroes, fleeting phenomena that burn bright and vanish. They urged patience. True greatness, they said, is measured over decades, not headlines. Yet even their warnings bolstered interest. Debate, after all, is the heartbeat of sport.
This is your first fight in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
When do you want to come back? Who do you want to fight?
Oh man, I don't care.
As the weeks turned to months, talk shifted to legacy. Would Jake Paul become a bona fide boxer, adding belts and accolades? Could Chavez Jr. reclaim his father's shattered aura? Or would this match fade into a footnote overshadowed by future showdowns? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: boxing would never look quite the same. For the fighters themselves, the record books awaited their signatures. Paul's name, once mocked in tabloids, now glinted on championship listings. Chavez Jr., humbled but undeterred, prepared to etch his own chapter of redemption. In gyms around the world, novices jabbed and danced, dreaming of moments that might define their own journeys.
Jake Paul?
You want Jake Paul next?
Yes, why not?
If he wins tonight?
Yes, I want.
No one knows if a sequel to this saga will ever capture the same lightning. But the night Jake Paul toppled Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. stands as proof that in boxing, as in life, the unexpected often reigns supreme. And for fans old and new, that unpredictability is the sport's greatest allure.
So, Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it's a real fight. Yeah. Look, people keep talking about Jake Paul, well, he's not a real fighter, this and that. Well, he's fighting a real fighter now in Julio.
Stay tuned for what comes next. But in the meantime, remember the energy, the doubt, and the roar. If you've enjoyed this journey, hit subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment with your predictions for the rematch. After all, in this ring, every question leads to another hook, another story, another fight.